Bobo's back with you. So, as I mentioned in an earlier video today, I was going to tell you about my flight with Captain George Dunkelberg on 27 July 1970. And I remember most of these times and dates, and so not so much the times, the dates, yeah. Um, but I can recall them real easy because I have my grade sheet from UPT. About 6 pages, printed pages like this with a mission. It tells the guy I flew with, the mission, solo or dual, complete or incomplete, um, the amount of time we flew, the number of landings, and so forth. So on that date, at 11:50 in the morning, we took off out of Randolph, flew out to the West MOA, did my thing, aerobatics, stalls, and spin prevention, and dropped into Hondo for a couple landings, flew back to Randolph, landed. I was one of the first guys to take the T-37 check in our class. So I get out of the airplane, walk over, fill out the forms, walk over to the crew van, get on the crew van, and Captain Dunkelberg's sitting there. He's wearing his helmet. He's got his sun visor down. And, that was not particularly uncommon, but he just had it down. We're sitting there riding in the step van back to the squadron, which was on the other side of the base. And one of my classmates said, "Hey, Bobby," he says, "how'd the ride go?" And I said, "It went great." And didn't think much about it. And so we get back to the squadron. He told me to go get a Coke or a cup of coffee or whatever. So then I come back into his office for the debrief. And I sit down, and he looked at me and he says, "Lieutenant Holliker," he says, "your ride did go pretty good." He said, "with one exception." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well," he says, "I'm going to have to fail you on this ride." He says, "You neglected to put your flaps down on your single engine approach." And that hit me right between the eyes. I did not realize I had done that. I remember flying a single engine touch and go, but I don't remember not putting my flaps down. And apparently I didn't. And later in my career, he said, "You were going so darn fast, I wanted to see if you could make it." Anyway, so I got an 85 pink. Let's see here. Yep, an 85.4 pink for single engine. And when you pinked a ride, when you failed a ride, they always gave you unsat in judgment, because if you had a good judgment, you wouldn't have pinked the ride. Okay, that just added insult to injury, but be that as it may, I come out of that ride just feeling sick to my stomach, because as I've said in earlier videos, they didn't take prisoners in those days, and I was just totally distraught. So I went back to the flight room licking my wounds, and went home that night. And it still upsets me, I think, a little bit to tell you about this today. I don't know if I wasn't prepared or what, but I'll tell you about the review rides here in the next couple of days, and my subsequent initial progress check, and then we'll pick it up from there. But suffice to say, I held nothing against the check pilot, not a thing. He had a job to do, and I had a job to do. He did his, but I didn't do mine. So that's what kind of where, at this time, where we left it. That really got my attention too. At any rate, George, if you happen to see this, God bless you. I still love you. Anyway, this is Bobo Base Gear. Stop.